across, so you could easily manipulate it for whatever kind of situation
Absolutely.
you're in.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the same situation with his phone.
If you watch those ghost shows, the ghosts always say the most random sentences. Like, it's never anything that makes a bit of sense. I was watching earlier today that said, I have the body of a pig. Like, that was the
it's weird.
That was what it put out. I have the body of a pig. I mean, if you're a ghost and you're having the opportunity to talk to actual people, you'd come up with something better than I have the body of a pig, I think.
Well, that's what I want to know. Is it a bad connection when they say something like that? I mean, if you can't get any usable, actionable intelligence out of the communication, right? Like if I said, hey, uncle, where'd you leave the will? And he can't tell me longitude and latitude, what good is it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, see, the thing is with all of these woo people, like with the ghost hunters and everything like that, everything is as vague as it can be, because then they can translate it into something meaningful, and they can make it mean something meaningful. Like, you know, it's like when they go into like a Scottish castle and they're sitting there calling out to it in like, you know, American English. And it's like, are you here? And they're like, yeah, I sure am here. And it's like,
yeah, that's true. That the ghost always speaks the language of the person asking for some reason, right? Now, I guess I guess we could argue after you're dead, you know multiple languages and stuff. But you're right. What they do is it's the brain making these connections. It's the brain finding the patterns. The science doesn't give a shit about the mind. The science is the raw data, and the raw data has never supported that this is anything beyond just your mind filling in the blanks, your mind making something significant to the person asking the questions.
The A-Team was the biggest thing that the biggest revelation that I took away from this. The fact that it's not only them two that are developing cell phone, but it's also Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, all of these brilliant minds that have passed on, and the explanation for how they know that it's these guys are that when they run it through the machine, whatever that is that's formulating these responses, it's giving them the right answers to the questions that they're asking. So the obvious question is, who wrote the program that is answering these questions? Because if it's just a machine doing it, obviously the obvious answer is that it's to do that. It's programmed to give you a specific set of data.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it is, though. I mean, again, without looking at their protocol, there's no way to know. If they're running an algorithm, then clearly they know that it's completely fraud, right? I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If you're writing a program that's going to try to emulate a computer response, right, and do like a Turing test kind of thing, that's complete fraud. I don't think this guy is like that, because I think he's relying upon other people, because you notice he keeps deferring, right? So he doesn't have the background in the science to even to address it, but which is weird, because he's supposed to have a PhD in, I think, was it clinical psychology or something?
Master's in clinical psychology. He's got his doctorate in he's a chiropractor.
Okay.
Oh, he's a chiropractor. Okay. This explains everything.
But even still, you would think he has some kind of I mean, you have to know some kind of statistical methodology to get any kind of benefit.
No, not for chiropractic. Like chiropractic,
you just gotta be able to
he has an MD. No, I mean, but he has a master's in psychology.
Okay, well, I mean, I got to give him that, but I mean, the whole chiropractic thing. I mean, honestly, once you take out a Black and Decker to massage my feet and cure my cancer, I'm done with talking to you.
Well, there's two types of chiropractors. There's ones that promote subluxations, right?
That's a great
and those are the quack. Right. If you go to a chiropractor and they start talking about subluxations, walk out. But if they go to a chiropractor and they say, okay, we're going to do this, a little manipulation, heat, or electricity to stimulate the muscles, that's all fine and dandy, right? Because any doctor is going to do that kind of stuff. But some chiropractors, they're the old traditional quackery type. They believe that subluxations can cure everything if you fix that, and it's just complete bullshit. But I've been to a chiropractor, and I got to tell you, for certain types of lower back problems, it helped tremendously. So I just can't say that they're all bad. A vast majority, don't get me wrong, but there is some benefits to a good chiropractor that doesn't get into the old bullshit type stuff.
I just cracked my neck. Am I a chiropractor now? Can I start doing chiropractic things?
Well, I mean, I want somebody that knows how to adjust the spine if they're going to do manipulations.
Move my what?
Yeah, no, you can. I mean, that there are certain aspects that is legit in chiropractic. There's a lot that's not legit, but that's the same as any kind of field, I guess.
Yeah, just to preface, I think I disagree. I'm on Steve's side about this. I think that the chiropractors that don't try to fluff up and woo up their practice about their back cracking, I think that those are fine as long as it's not promoting anything more than what it actually is.
Right. And they're very, very few. My argument would be is, why call them chiropractors? Why don't they just, they're I don't see anything specific about chiropractic that somebody else couldn't do with just a nominal amount of training, right? Because the basic shit that they do, like, for example, like if I put a warming pad on somebody, do I have to have a significant amount of training to understand the difference between how heat and cold affects a muscle? Not really, right?
Depends on where you put it, Steve.
This is true.
Yeah. So,
or like the needle,
okay,
like electrical current theory.
Back to the super chats though for the Solga, instead of talking smack about back cracking.
You wanted more super chats? Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
By the way, that was a good question. By the way, how does cell retain information stored in organic brain cells? Frick if I know, dude. That's why did I ask about mechanisms? There's no answers there.
Yeah, well, I mean, he didn't seem to actually answer any direct questions. I mean, it seemed like it's like he's got to preface everything with like a long explanation and then not answer the question.
The data's there, but we can't show it to you. Go ask Dr.
It would have, it would have been the same thing. It'd have been a long-winded explanation of something that had nothing to do with the question.
I mean, I'm very wary when somebody says the data's there, but we can't show it to you. Okay. Because that has. I'm sorry, but how is the data intellectual property? I mean, it is to a degree, but why is it confidential intellectual property? If you're trying to convince somebody that this is real, wouldn't you want to show them the preliminary data results? I mean, it could be the raw data, right? You don't have to explain your entire protocol, but there's no raw data to be had. You just throw out numbers.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, if they're hoping to like really market the product and everything like that, I could see them being secretive about it because, I mean, like pharmaceutical companies and whatnot, they would wait. I would assume that they would wait, like, if they were developing some kind of like new drug that revolutionized something, like they would want to publish, like, get their stuff like patented and everything like that, so that nobody could undercut them and produce stuff and then lose money.
Why not? Huh? But that's what they do with the efficacy. I mean, if you want to look at the efficacy of the drug, they can say, hey, here's our preliminary things to show there's a statistical correlation between the drug and what we expect to happen to show that it is causing an effect. That's his data, right? I mean, that's not revealing any the chemical nature of it or anything like that. It's just saying, here's our chart. We gave this many people this drug. It had this much effect. We think there's a reason to say that it works. That's all.
Right.
That's just raw data. I just say nothing wrong with releasing that.
Well, right. What I will say is that like they see that they act like they're a year away from producing anything physical. I would think that if they were that close to actually producing like hardware for it, you would already have the science done and published and everything like that. So I see your point there, and I was really not trying to like defend the guy for hiding his data. I think that the most ethical thing to do is definitely to produce your data, but like I don't know, the guy just seemed to be like he was hiding behind that veiled secrecy of, oh, well, we're waiting to put it out.
He answered it though. The reason that he didn't they haven't put out the science yet is because they don't have an investor yet. Money is the motivating factor. He said that 3 times. I counted that. We've got a guy that's interested, but we haven't ironed out the deals yet. If this was such so groundbreaking, they wouldn't be holding out for an investor. This would be something that, and you heard me ask him, have you tried this yourself? If this was something that worked, if this was something that had a remote possibility of being true, that I would be the first person in there trying that device out to see if it worked. I'd be every day trying to get an answer out there. But he said, nope, haven't done it yet. I mean,
yeah, that's weird, isn't it? I think I would be trying it too, right? Okay, Kent Hovind CPA, $2. He must have really liked this episode. $1 more than usual. Thank you, Kent Hovind CPA. Patrick Mahomes is God and he's real. I don't know who that is, so somebody can fill me in. Nobody?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. That was good. Boho Hobo 50 DKK. I love to hear about the camera on the other side, especially the specs of the transmission equipment, bandwidth modulation. Yeah, there's no way this guy was going to even be able to touch any of that.
Wait,
right?
so there's a camera. Like, I guess maybe I missed some parts of it or whatnot, but like, so there's a camera on our side, and then there's a camera on the Spirit side.
No, you just get a screen. You're going to be in front of a screen, and it's going to put forth some type of image. Now, he said that it could be various forms of imagery. So basically, what I'm imagining is it's whatever algorithm they've got going is going to generate some sort of picture, and that's supposed to represent the form that your loved one is choosing to use in order to talk to you. So basically, you're at the mercy of a generated thing, a generated voice, generated answers, generated image. It's an algorithm. I'm telling you, that's the kicker to this. It's an algorithm.
Yeah, and
Right.
very well could be. It's either an algorithm or just random noise that's of some kind, right?
Well, didn't he talk about like providing a picture of your loved one that you're trying to contact or something like that?
He said that it would be able to distinguish between he gave an example. If he were to put a picture of you and a picture of the strain to that image of your loved one, it would be able to one was you. Like you said, it would be a yes or no. Based on
the problem I have,
the
huge problem I have with that though, is that if you're going to do something like that, you need to design the electronics, right? And the electronics to do that has to have some kind of causal mechanism by which it knows what information is going into it, how to interpolate it, and how to put it out to where it's going to be effectively a communication to the person on the other side. You have to design that electronics. Show me those electronics. Show me the theory behind the electronics I'll even be happy with. But he has nothing.
Well, yeah, you would expect him, like at this point, like if he's trying to gather investors and everything for the phone, you would want to convince the investors. So, I mean, you would want to get your shit like published in peer-reviewed article or journals and whatnot. You would want to have like actual substantial backing behind your claims, but he just doesn't have any of that.
Right. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, if you were a potential investor and you had listened to that interview we just did, would you want to give you this guy money to invest?
Fuck no.
Okay, so
I'm not going to pay so that he can get a super speed camera, and then whoever the fuck he can get to write a program to dump whatever kind of information out. Like, I mean, he would have to have significant science, like provable, like peer-reviewed science behind like his actual machine that's supposed to give you the information. Because otherwise you can taking readings of electromagnetic radiation, which by the way is pretty much any spectrum of light, X-ray, gamma ray, visible light, anything like that would be electromagnetic radiation. And so to be able to translate that into any kind of information that we can understand, you would need to have like good evidence to have that translation. And it just seems like he either has it and he's not willing to release it to people, or he just simply doesn't have it and he's blowing smoke up everybody's ass, which I'm guessing that's the one that it is.
It's the latter. And the scary thing is there are people that are willing to do this. I listened all day yesterday and today to the podcast that he's been on, and all of them that I listened to, all of them that I could find. This was probably the only one that he's done, because as you could tell, he was very skittish about coming on. He canceled 2 times already, and he doesn't do, it seems, a lot of shows that ask questions about what they do. And the ones that I've seen him on were all pro his standpoint. There's a podcast, and I forget the name of it now, but it's associated by 2 women, and they dive into the paranormal world. But they were just glowing about it, just like, oh, this is amazing. Listeners, you have to go and check this out. This is going to be a real thing. So there are people out there that absolutely, and it's just like I said when I was talking to him. It's because you play on a sense of emotion that